The streets are buzzing. Knicks up 3-0. Road grit. And they look like they're going to cruise to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second straight season, with Brunson putting the team on his back, and big time performances from the bench. Landry Shamet stepping up with no OG Anunoby. Also, we got great contributions from Mikal Bridges. Karl Anthony Towns was in foul trouble, but Mitch held us down. Welcome in to the post-game live. We're all buzzing right now, and it looks like we're bringing out the brooms, ladies and gentlemen, as Philly gave the New York Knicks their best punch. The Knicks took it, man, and they punched back with the knockout blow. Job's not done yet. One more to close it out, man. But no OG was obviously the big story in this one, man. And the Knicks offense was enough. Our defense was more than enough. 92-108, ladies and gentlemen. And for the first time since 1999, the Knicks have won six straight playoff games, man. 3 in a row against ATL. Now 3 in a row in this series. And the Knicks are the hottest team in the NBA playoffs. And it's Friday night, Knicks. Let's shout you guys out, man. Have a good one tonight, man. Philly, the Knicks bullied them, right? Fast start from Philly. Obviously, they were playing a lot more desperate. But our New York Knicks answered the call. And what a night. What a highlight. Mitchell Robinson gave the Knicks great minutes. I thought when Cat was in foul trouble. But obviously, like I said, the bench, man. Deuce got the start. But Shamet, Alvarado, gave the Knicks a spark as well. But Mikal Bridges, right, I picked him as the X factor, feeling vindicated. Let us know how you guys feel, man. Great to see you in the building. Ernest Cameron, Delmar Salute Daniel, DK, Glenn Jones, my guy. Shout out to the Knicks streets, right? Holding Philly to just 94 points, man. We rallied. 3-0 now. Looks like we're going to cruise to the conference finals. And we await to see what happens tomorrow, man, with Detroit having to go to Cleveland, right? Hopefully that series can go longer. But right now we've got one more to close it out. One more indeed, right? Bridges rejuvenated, says DK. Yeah, second round Mikal Bridges is looking like a real thing. I think he likes the matchup. I think that's number one. I think, credit to Mikal. He's locking in a lot more than what we've seen. We see him get to the line. We're seeing him sort of get to the rack, take some more contact. Some of the things that we weren't seeing during the regular season. But I think he really likes the matchup. Predicted him as the X factor, right? Man, what about Paul George early? Man, he could not miss. And I thought, early, I think the Knicks just needed to weather that storm. And that's what changed this ball game, man. Landry Shamet. Does he deserve a game ball? You guys let me know, man. This is one of the biggest shots of the game, man. This stopped the momentum. And they had to double Brunson. And the Knicks did phenomenal there as well. Shout out to Clarkson. We're going to give everyone their flowers. We here, back to the conference finals. No team come back from down 0-3 right now. And the Knicks got the foot on the throat, man. And they're about to deliver the knockout blow in this one. Next up, Glenn Jones, 56. Shout out. Great to see you. CT, big win. I was worried with OG being out. I thought we would struggle. But what a game. Let's effing go. Let's talk about it, because OG being out, that first quarter, man, you're kind of thinking, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, this is ugly, because Philly got the jump early, but our bench, our depth stepped up. I'm just really proud of, I think the rotations were right. The decision to start Deuce McBride, there was a lot of speculation were they going to start Landry to give the team a bit more size? And, Philly weren't getting any bench scoring up until the fourth quarter. That's right. Nobody on Philly's bench registered a point until Quentin Grimes hit a shot at the start of the fourth quarter, right? And polar opposites with the New York Knicks bench as well. And look, I didn't think Deuce McBride had a great game offensively, man. His 3-point stroke was definitely off in this one, but his defense was really good. I thought Shamet's defense was phenomenal as well. The defense on Maxey, Embiid wasn't really effective. They tried the hacker Mitch. They tried everything, man. The Knicks were the more physical team, and I think they really put Philly in a spot where it's like, hey, we're the big brothers, man. We're the bullies, and they just couldn't match our physicality, despite some great shot making. You got to tip your cap. Paul George turned back the clock, and I was like, that's the only way I could have really seen Philly get a win is either Maxey goes off or PG. Embiid, he's limited right now. He's trying to give him what he got, but it ain't enough, man. And great minutes from Mitchie. Great minutes from Mitch with Cat in foul trouble. I thought that changed the ball game as well. And then Philly made a run when Cat back into the game. Josh Hart, man, he had me scratching my head a little bit with some turnovers and just speeding it up too much. And I thought Hart was a little out of control offensively. That let Philly back into the ball game with some sloppy turnovers. But then enter the man, right? Still building, adding to his legacy, ladies and gentlemen. What a game from Jalen Brunson, man. He is a monster in Philly, right? The memories in that building, Villanova championships. He can beat the double, gets to his spots. He was on point tonight with the angles, finishing, mid-range, pull up big threes as well, man. This is an underrated Brunson game, man. One of Brunson's cleanest playoff performances, in my opinion, man. He didn't really put too much of a foot wrong, too. Next up, Delmar, salute, as the Knicks had the lead, 60-52. I think they broke Philly's spirit in the second quarter, man. That was big time. Delmar says, Bridges did the thing tonight. Yeah, he's got that pep in his step. He was crashing the glass. He was getting to the rack. Physicality. I thought we used Philly. We stretched Philly out, and we used our physicality. To get them in foul trouble. They were overzealous, in the words of Clyde. Delmar also says they can sit OG if they like. That's a great point. Let's hit on that real quick before we get to the next comment. I made this tweet out before the game. I said they weren't going to play OG tonight, and they're most likely not going to play him game 4 either. And I think that there was a bit of a smokescreen saying that, yeah, OG could play if he wanted to. Right? You ain't going to risk a hamstring. I don't care how mild they say it is. And so when it comes to OG, I think they made the right decision, but I don't think he would have been a factor in this one, right? Mild hamstring, but yeah, give it a week and see how we go, man. Close this thing out early. And we're definitely going to need OG, man. It looks like we're going to get our matchup against Detroit. NYC, great to see you, says Knicks take it in Philly. Got to recognize what Shamet brought tonight. I think that's why, the coaching staff, the fans, ever since Shamet's came in, man, he's had inconsistencies. But what I admire the most and what I think the coaching staff like about Shamet as well is he could be a guy that's like out of the rotation. You think he's dead and buried. And then all of a sudden in the biggest moment when you need him, next man up, he produces, and I think that speaks to a lot. It speaks to his grit, speaks to his determination, speaks to his experience too. I mean, the guy's 28, 29, been on many teams, man. He's been on Philly, he's been on Phoenix, he's been on the Clippers, and a whole lot of other teams. But I think hopefully when all's said and done, man, Landry Shamet will be recognized as a really good New York Knick, maybe a great New York Knick. He ain't even 30 yet. But what he's doing on a veteran's minimum contract, man, is phenomenal. How about that shot in the first half, man? The corner three. The angle looked like it came off the glass. But yeah, when that one went down, man, the Knicks got the lead, I think, or they rallied. And you just felt the air out of the building in terms of Philly. Any, momentum that Philly had when Shamet knocked down that three early. The Knicks got their confidence. They got their swagger back as well. And this got to get highlight of the night, man. Embiid being put on a poster from Mr. Robinson to you, right? Not Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Robinson. Sir, Embiid got to address him as Mr. Robinson after that one, man. Embiid late. And yeah, I've been saying this since the series began, man. I think Philly are better offensively with Embiid, but they're worse defensively. And we're going to continue to talk about it. And what are we going to see moving forward? We've got one more game to close this thing out, man. This is simply the easiest path to the conference finals since I can remember. Man. Shirley Willis, salute. Great to see you. Hope all is well. Big up. I keep on saying to people to stop bashing Bridges. He is the X factor. Yeah, Shirley, it don't matter what you really do in 82 games. You could build your own legacy just in the playoffs. And yeah, you want more out of Macau during the regular season. Some of these games, you don't trade 5, 6, 7 first-round picks for what we're getting during the regular season for the most part. But there's a lot of mouths to feed. I always say that. And when the moment is big in the playoffs, Mikal Bridges has stepped up since becoming a Knick. We don't beat Boston last season without Mikal. This season, he's really starting to come good. Early Atlanta series was a little rough, but I think he's really, showing us what he is made of. Experience, grit, smarts, savviness, especially defensively. Fam, Dermot's in the building. Let's go. Knicks buzz. We're all buzzing right now. Before we get to the next comment, man, we've got a super chat from my guy DB, Delmar Brown. Let's go. Knicks are in the zone, and Brown has the team ready for the finish line. Great comment. Let's give Brown a shout out because, he made some tough calls. Cat had to sit with foul trouble. I thought he rode Mitch well. Didn't pull him out during the hacker Mitch sort of. That was where the game was kind of teetering, man, on the brink. Hearts were in mouths, fam. You guys let me know, man. How are you feeling by that third possession when they were putting Mitch on the line and the lead was dwindling? The lead was like down to two, I think 4 or 2. Several possessions, man. Mitchie got put on the line and Mike Brown kept him out there, fam. Obviously, Cat was in foul trouble, but he could have gone small. He could have gone Huck Porty, but he stuck with Mitch. I thought that was very underrated minutes in this ball game where the Knicks just kept their foot on the throat despite the lead going down. I don't really feel like they lost control of this ball game at all. And yeah, to the earlier part of your comment, fam, Knicks are in the zone, man. 6 straight, ladies and gentlemen. 6 straight in the playoffs now. First time since 1999. Guess what? Some of y'all too young to remember. Maybe some of y'all remember clearly. But the Knicks went to the big dance. Obviously, Pat got injured. We had some injuries. We came up against a juggernaut in San Antonio. But looks like we might be partying like it's 1999 once again, guys. I want that Detroit matchup, but not without Cleveland, really taking it to them, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to continue to shout you guys out, man, but got to bring in my guy who's backstage right now. Y'all know who he is. He's always got the streets buzzing, ladies and gentlemen. He is here backstage, and we're going to talk to our guy, EJ, ladies and gentlemen. Bring him in right now. Knicks up 3-0. It's Friday night. It's been a long week, but I could see the smile on his face, just like all of us right now. Great to see you. How you feeling?
My brother CT, how you doing, my friend? Can you hear me all right? All right. Nick's Buzz, how you guys doing? Sorry, my voice is a little low. I've been screaming, I've been yelling, I've been excited about tonight's game. But this is a real. I mean, I've been texting people, people have been texting me, is this real? Is this real? Are we really where we are right now? Up 3-0, a pretty formidable win, a pretty positive performance tonight in Philadelphia. I texted my boy CT and I was like, I might have to make the trip to Philadelphia, and I seriously considered it. And so this is a monumentous occasion. This is one of these runs where I think that we can start to say, I don't want to say too much, but we're at the point now where we're starting to see that this might be one of those runs where you start to think about where were you during certain games? Like who were you with at certain moments during the playoffs? Who were you with during this run? And so I'm ecstatic. I mean, I'm tired as I don't know what. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, but this win made it all worth it. So whether you're tired, whether you had a long week at work, whether you had a fight with your boo, this win made it all worth it. My boy CT, how you doing? How you feeling? What are your thoughts on tonight? And M Drake, you know what? From your lips to God's ears. Um, CT, what do you think, my man?
Man, I'm on cloud nine, as all of us are. Like you said, food tastes better. Um,
Oh yeah.
mu music sounds better. The
Hmm.
air, you know, breathes better right now. But yeah, man, we travel well. You got to feel confident in Philly. Um, and look, we'll talk about it later. Obviously, what awaits in the third round, because then no team squandered a 3-0 lead. But
Yeah.
I think Detroit is probably the only hostile arena that's like truly hostile. So
Hmm.
that could be a factor. But yeah, Philly comfortable, MSG South, ATL, MSG South. Um, Shame we didn't get to face Miami, but yeah, Philly
Yes. Oh
again,
yeah.
man. Once again, the bridesmaids looks like.
Yes.
How did
Yeah.
you feel during the game? During the toughest stretch, like did you feel like this was just like a kind of a this game was like house money game where it's like, okay, we might not have it, we'll get them in game four, or did you really think like we would rally and like pull this one out?
Well, this is if you're a sports fan and the home team or the team that's a higher seed wins the first two games. This is the big question. This is like the debate. This is the major sports debate. Would you rather win game three or would you rather win game four? I'm of the mind win game three. The reason why you want to win game three in the NBA is it crushes the opposition and their will to win. There's something I'm not sure if you guys caught with 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I believe it was actually 3 minutes left exactly, 4 minutes maybe even. Did you see Philly's body language? Did you see the starters' body language? That was the body language of defeat. And so even though the first quarter they came out, the Knicks came out a little bit lethargic. Philly had a little bit of edge to it. They were shooting extremely well, but then the Knicks really took that blow, and that was the best blow that Philadelphia had to offer the entire game. This is similar to what Atlanta did game one during the first series, where you have this huge body blow, and then all of a sudden it's the question of can you weather the storm? And that's really the makeup of a championship level team is can you take body blows because you're not gonna win every game 30 points. You're not gonna win every game by 40 points. You're not gonna take every game by 50 points. It's can you win these close, nail biting games where sometimes you're down by 10, you're down by 5, you're down by 8. Do you have the capability of overcoming that and have the mental fortitude to do it? There is something about this Philly team where, with 3 minutes left, they told you all you need to know about game four. The building will be empty of Philly fans and possibly even Philly players. And that's why winning game three was so important. If you lose game three, and you win game four, you have a hostile crowd in Phil. You have a hostile crowd in Philadelphia. But if you win Game Three, do you know how many Philly fans right now are selling their tickets? Why would they want to actually attend Sunday night's game? It's Mother's Day. If you have your wife, you better do right by her by getting her like a real great Mother's Day gift. If you have your girl, your baby's mama, you need to make sure you get a good gift for her. So you can't if you're a Philly fan and your wife and your girl's like, what are we doing tonight? You can't say, as a 76er fan, we're going to the game. You can't do that. For what? To watch them lose? So those are going to be the kind of people who are going to sell their tickets. And that 38%, I think that was the stat tonight. 38% of the crowd at Philadelphia tonight, they were Knicks fans. What do you think that number is going to
Yeah.
be for the fourth game?
No, great point. Facts. I think the crowd was loud early for Philly. Obviously, they were trying to give their team that boost. They were playing well, but the Knicks, soon as the Knicks punched back and responded, like I said, I just felt the air out of the building, and then Knicks fans started to take over and really
Yep.
get loud.
Yep.
Especially when you had some calls go our way. The Knicks got some
Hmm.
foul calls, got to the line, you heard cheers. Um, Obviously, it was tough with Mitch at the line. The crowd was really trying to put him off. And VJ Edgecombe was really trying to talk smack to Mitch, but I know Mitch went, probably I think he went maybe 2 of 6 during that stretch, or something like 3 and 8. But
I think it's 3-8.
yeah, 3 and 8. But I felt like he looked calm. Like he didn't look like the crowd was like phasing him. He took his time. He didn't rush the free throws. He was breathing heavily, but he was like breathing in, breathing out. And just a couple of those going down was big, because if let's say he missed 4 or 5 in a row, he's out of the game. You know.
Yeah, it's what we talk about all the time. I try to mention this almost once per broadcast. Um, the thing that NBA 2K can't replicate, or the things that it can't replicate, is the mentality, the basketball IQ, and how well you're in check emotionally at the most pressurized situations. And one of the things that we have to commend Mitch with tonight, or Mitch for rather, is that he was calm, he was collected. I mean, he did miss the 2 free throws and they got their Chick fil A. Great for them. I would much rather they end up with the Chick fil A and we end up with the W. But that is really where you're starting to see some maturation during the course of this playoff run. And that's also something that you want to see. It was unfortunate what happened during the Atlanta series between the Atlanta player and Mitch Robinson. But at this point, what Philadelphia is trying to do, and Embiid embodies this. I don't like the way that certain NBA teams play. Philly is one of those teams where, there's a little bit too much flopping, there's a little bit too much dirty play, especially with Embiid. And one of the things that they try to do is they try to get under your skin. It's the same thing that Detroit does. So this is the perfect matchup to try to prepare you for what might possibly be a Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks Eastern Conference Finals. And you want to be able to develop the mental fortitude to deal with people who are going to try to get under your skin. And that's what Embiid does. He's been doing it for several years against Mitch. They play very physically against him. But the fact that he was calm and composed, he wasn't rattled. Obviously, he's not going to be Jeff Hornacek at the free throw line. He's not going to be John Stockton. He's not going to be, Steph Curry on the free throw line. But the fact that he was able to sink shots, and you could see that strategy went out the window. Um, it's just something that, obviously at this point, it's a sign of desperation for Philadelphia. And I think that's where, again, winning game three was so huge for the Knicks.
Yeah, we're talking about it, how we got it done. CT with EJ on our Friday Night Live. We've got all the fam in the building hitting that like button. We're all buzzing. And we've talked about that moment early where the Knicks rallied. We've talked about that moment when Mitch was being put on the line. But then there was another moment in this game where the Knicks were down, were losing their lead early in the fourth. Didn't really like the minutes with Jose Alvarado and a couple of possessions with Cat turning it over. But enter Jalen Brunson came in slightly early. Mike Brown did not mess around. I think it was 8 and change. Brunson came back in, and the Knicks went like on a super run, lead back up to 11, and that was it. Really underrated Brunson game. How did you see Brunson tonight? I don't really think he put a foot wrong.
No, I think this was definitely a Brunson game, and shout out Landry Shamet as well too. And shout out Mike Brown. Mike Brown, and also shout out, and we criticize him very often, Mikal Bridges. Some real big points, some real big shots. But this was definitely, if you want a game ball, this is going to Jalen Brunson, by and large, no questions asked. Making some really difficult shots, making some pressurized shots, some deep threes, penetrating the lane. Again, this is where you start to see him, and I guess we have the benefit of seeing him every game. And people around the league, they don't really understand the magnitude, the size of the player that Jalen Brunson is. He is 6'2", but this man, the enormity of his talent can fill up 5 arenas. So I think that there aren't enough words to describe how well he played tonight. There aren't enough words to describe, like, I think this might be even more of an impressive win. And I know I might get some slander for saying this. This might be even more of an impressive win than game one. And the reason why I'm saying this is because game one made sense. You're talking about a Philly team that won 7 games, 7 very difficult games, with the Boston team that we can't front. A Boston team that was really, it wasn't who it was supposed to be this season, but they gave a real representative effort. This game, however, where you've had a couple of days of rest and you're on the opposing team's court, this was a difficult game. They've had some time to watch the film, they've had some time to strategize, they've had some time to develop some tape on different players. You're down OG Anunoby, and so that increased the pressure on Jalen Brunson. And what you saw was Jalen Brunson is one of the most underrated players in the league. Yes, I said it. He's one of the most underrated players in the league because this guy does. We don't have the premier player of the playoffs thus far this tonight in OG Anunoby. What did Jalen do? He stepped up even more. So kudos, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, we're going to get to Cat. We'll talk about Macau. But we're talking about our game ball winner, JB, the closer, and great points from EJ. I just want to add, I think Brunson's seen them all. He's seen every look. He's seen long defenders. He's seen Dyson Daniels. He's seen, Osar Thompson. But this Philly matchup, yeah, Kelly Oubre can guard him a little bit, but this guy's been through, like I said, those other better defenders. So whatever Philly have to throw at him, it ain't enough. You might, need to put Paul George, but they tried to double. But I thought in those possessions where Philly just gave up and tried to double, that the Knicks just made them pay. And then they just had to go back to single coverage again. And so it's one of those things where you got to pick your poison with this Knicks team. But I don't think we needed to be at our best to win this one tonight. It wasn't a stellar Brunson Cat duo game. It was Cat in a lot of foul trouble, but the Knicks getting that connection from the role players. How did you see, Hart's performance and also the rest of the starters, Deuce McBride coming in, getting the start for OG? Was that something that you were happy to see? Deuce get the start? Do you think Shamet deserved to get a look? The Knicks were obviously small with Deuce McBride, but they've been winning the plus minus in the playoffs. Every minute with Brunson and Deuce, I think is the highest in the plus minus.
It's funny that you asked this question about Shamit and Deuce. Um, One of the things that I want to commend the starting unit. I know this isn't part of your question, but I just wanted to jump to this as well too. I want to commend them for not only playing Philadelphia well, I also want to commend them for playing the refs well. That first half, it was shades of LA OKC, where there were so many for both teams. There were so many blown calls. There were so many missed calls. It seemed as if a few of them went more the way of Philadelphia than it did for the Knicks. But to address the question with regards to how did Deuce do, in terms of standing in for OG. Listen, OG is having an amazing playoff run right now. You could argue that he's the best Knicks performer thus far this playoff run. So to try to replicate that is asking a lot. So I did not expect Deuce to be OG. But what I did expect Deuce to do, what I did expect Landry Shamet to do, and they did it, is that they continued to make Philadelphia go crazy. I love the fact that the offense was able to adjust throughout the game. Again, we have to improve Cat. We have to improve the foul trouble. Like, that's troubling. This is now 2 games in a row where he's gone to severe foul trouble. But what was really impressive is when there were doubles against Jalen, Jalen didn't hold on to the ball. He started moving the ball. That's a good sign. That allowed for Landry to get open shots. That allowed for there to be daggers when they were necessary. It allowed for McHale to get open shots as well. And so one of the things that I was hoping we would see in terms of the maturation of the Knicks this season, particularly this playoff run, is sometimes you can force your offense, but sometimes you have to force the defense. You have to force your offense versus what the defense is offering. So if you want to do one, but you can't do one because the defense is offering something else, move to two in response to what the defense is doing. And that's why we got to see what Landry was doing tonight in terms of making some great shots, really, really opening up the floor, as well as Deuce as well. What are your thoughts, ET?
Yeah, I think you're really seeing the connection between guys that have been down in these moments together. Like, whether you plug in a Shamet or you plug in a Deuce, they've been around for a couple of seasons now. The chemistry is there. I think the chemistry with Alvarado, it's always tough a trade deadline acquisition, to try to find your way. But I think the Knicks having that experience going to the conference finals last season with Deuce, with Shamet, where Tibbs didn't trust Shamet enough, but gave him some minutes in that Indy series late. Um, but I think the Knicks can win so many different ways, and they know who they are. They're comfortable. They know their identity, and for the second straight game, they shoot 50% from the field. Um, Only shot 28% last game, but 33% from downtown tonight. It's still better than Philly. Not a great percentage, 33, but it's better than 28. And 50% from the field again. Like I said, they can get those mid-range looks. They can kill you points in the paint. They won second chance points. Also, I want to talk about Clarkson because he's been crashing the glass at a high level. They win the fast break. They basically win in every metric. And if we look at this, quarter by quarter, look at that amazing turnaround. Like, it's just from the first quarter straight after that, the Knicks just dominated the game. The second quarter, they just like, we're not losing this one. And like to your point, I think the only thing that hurt us is turnovers. 14 turnovers to 11, and I thought we were speeding it up just a little bit too much at times. And I think that is a weakness of ours at times, the ball handling. Like sometimes if a guy grabs the rebound, not every guy can just push it. They're always looking for Brunson. But still 25 assists, that's good. 25 assists. 57 rebounds to 41. No rebounds, no rings.
It's funny you saying that. I was just actually looking at the box score, and yes, the rebounding edge. And I do think that the turnovers, to a certain extent, I do think that we saw them calm down with the basketball in the second half. I do think it was a tale of two different halves, if I'm not mistaken. But I also think the other thing too, and I'll go back to this as well, is again, I think the first half, the way it was officiated was very different than how it was officiated the second half. And so there needed to be some level of adjustments to it. And I'm also looking at the box score, and one of the things that if you take a look at, which is amazing, um, aside from Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson went 38 minutes, Mikal Bridges is 37 minutes, Josh Hart is 40 minutes, which are shades of Tom Thibodeau. But you know, uh, Carl Anthony Towns was 26 minutes. Miles McBride was 21 minutes. Jordan Clarkson 13 minutes. Jose Alvarado 8 minutes. Landry Shamet 26 minutes. Mitchell Robinson 19 minutes. There's a level of balance in the minute distribution which you have to like. And the fact that you even had a chance to go into garbage time with 2 minutes left, that's a really, really good sign. So you're not going to win every game by 51 points. But the fact that there's a better minutes distribution, obviously there was a point where we were behind and we had to play catch up. And the game wasn't really decided until halfway, more than halfway through the fourth quarter. But again, this is an impressive win. And if you look at the plus minuses as well, a Landry Shamet is a plus 20, a Jordan Clarkson is a plus 11. And I think we cannot dismiss how impressive that is for both Landry Shamet and Jordan Clarkson. Please do not forget where they were prior to the playoff run. Prior to the playoff run, Jordan Clarkson, were we sure he was going to get minutes in the playoff? Were we sure how much time Landry Shamet was going to get in terms of minutes? I mean, he had a stretch where he was solidly part of the rotation, but there were really questions, especially when Mo Diawara, towards the latter half of the season, he seemed to emerge, and we started asking questions of, wait, is Mo Diawara going to take Jordan Clarkson and Landry Shamet minutes? So for us to have this level of depth, where we're talking about how well Jordan Clarkson performed tonight, and we're also talking about how well Landry Shamet performed, and they did it without OG Anunoby, that's where the league is now. And I'm so glad we're no longer chasing big threes, but we're now chasing depth. And this is the issue that Philly has, and this is going to be their conundrum, their quagmire to figure out over the summer, how to increase their depth. But this is where the league is now. Can you have a roster that you have at least 9 to 10 quality players, and people who can go deep into your rotation?
Yeah, well said. I think playoffs are changing. We saw last season Indy go, 10, 11, 12 deep and get to the finals with Rick Carlisle sort of out of the box thinking and Mike Brown going deeper than Tibbs. JB only 38 minutes. Like, if this is Tibbs, this is a JB probably 43-minute game as well. But couple of points I want to make was we zoom out, bigger picture stuff. I think the win is great, 3-0. Looks like we're going to cruise to the conference finals. But you look at now, it's 6 wins in a row. Like, that's so much confidence this team is building now. To win 6 playoff games in a row, that has not happened since 1999, man, when you and me both had a lot more hair.
Well, I mean, I
Well,
got some hair now.
yeah, you got more than me, but
But I was bald in '99. That's
yeah,
actually funny. I did used to shape off my hair in '99, so you're
okay,
right.
wow, yeah,
Yeah,
I think, yeah, the confidence is key, different guys stepping up. And obviously, we got to talk about OG and what the plan
yeah.
is going to be moving forward. But I think, yeah, conference finals. What do you think is going to happen in the Detroit Cleveland one? I think Cleveland hopefully can at least win both of their home games. The crowd is pretty hostile in
Yeah,
Cleveland, but I just
yeah.
think Detroit are just too physical. Um, Hopefully that can at least go 6.
Is it time for us to start talking about how Cleveland is a failed team?
100%.
You know what I mean? Like I mean, this iteration of Cleveland, obviously without James Harden, but I think this is what season number 4. Is it time for us to start talking about how this Cleveland team just always seems to fall apart um, during the playoffs? It never quite lives up to what we think Cleveland should be. And this has been since the entire Donovan Mitchell run. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's a hell of a player. And that's actually was thinking about this the other day. In an alternate universe, we have both Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. Or in another alternate universe, we have just Donovan Mitchell. And so to get back to your initial question, I mean, my hope at this point is that they at least eke out one win against Detroit. It was kind of concerning how poorly they've been playing, especially James Harden, how poorly he's been performing during the Detroit Cleveland series. Um, as a Knicks fan, obviously I was actually rooting for Cleveland to win because that would allow us to have home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference run. But it does not look like that's going to happen. Cleveland just doesn't seem to have it together. And you would think that they have more pieces than a Detroit, a more experienced roster than a Detroit, but they're just not able to put it together. It's one of those weird situations where Cleveland is just one of those teams we're going to be looking back at in 10 years and just trying to ask ourselves the question of how do they not win more in the playoffs? Kind of like OKC from a decade ago.
Yeah, I think their construction's quite one-dimensional, the roster construction. I
Hmm.
think Donovan's very ball dominant. I think for all the flack that Brunson gets, Donovan Mitchell is a black hole. Like, he's
Hmm.
not exactly a facilitating point guard. I mean, he's one of the best scorers of our lifetime, um, and he's phenomenal with the ball in his hands late. But like, does he make? I think there's a fair question. Does he make other people better? And then you look at, when I mean flawed roster, you look at Jared Allen, as sound as he can be at times, he's not a threat. And in this modern
Yeah.
NBA, one of the reasons why Leon Rose went and got Karl Anthony Towns was because, when push comes to shove, to win a basketball game, you've got to outscore the other team,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, off good offense beats good defense.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that's a team like as we sit here now, we think about the 2015 OKC Thunder, and we're like, how in the world, when you look back at that roster, you're like, how in the world did they not win or win more? And ironically enough, who was also on that roster just so happens to be on the 2025-2026 Cleveland Cavs. And I think that's going to be one of the more interesting conversations we have in the years to come when we do retrospectives on Donovan Mitchell's career and James Harden's career. Like when we look back at them, where do we rank them? Because again, I think one of the things that we saw in the Orlando Detroit series is that Detroit really struggled to score points. And if there's one strength that you would conceive that Cleveland would have is putting up points. And to put up points, and they're really struggling to do it against Detroit. It's a very fascinating series. It's troubling, and I was talking about this years ago with other teams, like for example with Milwaukee. I think that this might be a year where there are going to be some tough questions in the offseason for Cleveland if it continues to go the way that it is. This might be the last iteration. This might be the last time we see this version of Cleveland because I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if you continue to put all of your eggs in a James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen combination. I mean, not that I'm looking for them to do well, but it's disappointing that they're not putting a little bit more of a fight against Detroit, so that if and when we get to the conference finals, Detroit has had, some bruises. Right now, it feels a little bit too easy of a walk for them into the conference finals.
Great point, EJ. And I'm starring a couple of comments. We'll get to it as well. Appreciate everyone buzzing with us right now. And um, yeah, I'll talk about some moves that Leon Rose has made, like Michael Drake says, shout out. DJ Wall Street Dame says Cleveland's current team has hit their ceiling. 100% agree.
Yes.
Agent Super Arago says Spider doesn't play D, keep Bridges. Um, and yeah, Bridges plays. Yeah, he's a two-way player, and that's what helps you win in the playoffs. I know in regular season games you want more offensively, and you want at times even OG can look average offensively, but
Hmm.
two-way players when the playoffs come, like they're worth their weight in gold. You know, two-way players in the playoffs, and I want to speak on a two-way player that we have that we picked up, and I think we can look back now as one of the best off-season signings across the league. I'll give you a guess as to who I'm talking about, EJ. EJ, you got me?
I got you. I got you. I'm trying to think of who it is. So who would be that off-season pickup? Um, uh, you got me stumped here.
Underrated Knicks off-season pickup.
It wouldn't be Gerson Yabusele, would it be? Oh no, of course, it's
You
Jordan
get
Clarkson. I
you're
mean,
getting close.
is it Clarkson?
Yep.
Of course.
Yep. Yeah. Speak on how big that Clarkson signing is becoming now. Because at some point it was an afterthought.
Oh
At the
yeah,
time, some people were like down on it. It was like, oh, this black hole. What's he gonna do? Reinvented
yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
Helped us win an NBA Cup. Now look at him. I mean, what for a vet's minimum like that? That has to go across the league down as one of the best off-season signings by anyone.
I- I'll um I'll do. Sorry guys, I had a brain fog right there. As you guys know, I'm in education, so I'm up very early in the morning. So this is now like I think hour like 17 I've been up. So my brain is not fully firing. That's why I'm also not speaking with so much enthusiasm. But nevertheless, um, if we go back to the off season, um, the bigger deal was Gerson Yabusele. Like that was the bigger, more media covered deal. And Jordan Clarkson was kind of like, well, it wasn't the big sexy move. It was almost like a move of abundance. But and especially when we started like the first quarter of the season, and there were questions about the fit, whether or not he was a black hole. And I agree with DJ Wall Street. The fact that we now have reached the point where we have both Landry Shamet and Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, it's an embarrassment of riches. There's been a maturation of Jordan Clarkson's fit on the squad and a better understanding of his role and a maturation of his game to fit the style of play of the team. And that's one of the things we did not see early on. And this is why like we do have to give kudos where it's due for Mike Brown to stick with Jordan Clarkson, to know when to plug him back in. Obviously he was in his doghouse for a little bit of time, but for him to stick with him and to stick him into the playoff rotation during the playoff stretch, and we haven't seen Jordan Clarkson the chucker. I mean, pretty much knock on wood at all during the playoffs. They've been really mature shots. They've been really calm shots. They've been really timely shots, and they've been effective. And so I really want to compliment both Mike Brown and Jordan Clarkson. And you have to give props to Leon Rose for making that deal and making it possible, especially because when you're a player like Jordan Clarkson, when the end of free agency comes around and you're like one of these guys who's signing a 12th man, 13th man, 14th man, 15th man roster deal, Jordan Clarkson has a number of options. He did not have to choose the Knicks, but he did. It's the same with Jeremy Shoham. Those kind of deals are the ones where you look back and you say like, wow, that was a great signing. It was a small contract, but big in value. The contract was small, but the player was huge in value. And those kind of deals, going back to M. Drake's previous point, those are the kind of deals that really make championships in the modern NBA.
Yeah, I like to listen to the rival fan base to see what they're saying, and they keep ruining the trade deadline in terms of Philly fans. They traded away Jared McCain, and that was a head
Yeah,
scratching move in my opinion. So
yeah,
Daryl Morey's really left this Philly team short, probably to save some money because they're spending too much in some other ways, but and maybe try to get some more flexibility for the future. But you can't hamstring your team if you're trying to make a run. You need all the
no,
pieces,
no,
and the Knicks picking up bargains in terms of Landry on a vet minimum, Clarkson.
yeah,
Those guys experienced. They've been through the fire. Clarkson was big in the Utah Jazz playoff era with Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles, and them, Mike Conley. So he's been through those Western Conference battles, and Landry has as well, playing on Phoenix, Clippers. Um, and what I like the most is their ball handling, their versatility. Because on the
yes,
bench
yeah,
you've got Alvarado, which was a great deadline pickup, Been a little up and down, but the ball handling with Clarkson on the floor at the same time, with Deuce on the floor at the same time, we don't struggle creating shots. And the ball can swing. The ball can swing. They can attack closeouts. They can create a mid range. They're not. We're not like we're not a Boston team that's just like chucking threes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you want to win a playoff game, that's a grit and grind game. If you shoot 50% from the field, don't matter what you do from three, you can still win the ball game, old school way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Let's give Leon Rose kudos. There's something you just said, and I don't want to run past it. You talked about Jose Alvarado. How do we get Jose Alvarado? Leon Rose was able to turn Gerson Yabusele into Jose Alvarado. Let's not underplay that. That is very important. Let's not forget that Landry Shamet almost didn't make the roster this year because of Malcolm Brogdon. So all of these moves are really value smart strategic moves that a dollar here, $1 million here, you don't have these players on the roster. So imagine a Knicks playoff run without Jose Alvarado, Landry Shamet, and Jordan Clarkson. Um, I'll even go a step further if you allow me, CT. At this point, and I'm going to get a lot of slander in the Knicks universe. I'm okay with it. I'm a big boy. At this point, I don't want to hear Giannis Antetokounmpo's name. And here's why. Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid in Philadelphia is a cautionary tale of what happens when you get a big man who starts to slow down, whose mobility was key to their game, key to what they did. And I know that a lot of us, we get angry because of the 5 draft picks with Mikal Bridges. Haven't we all noticed how quiet people have gotten because how quiet people have become over the 5 draft picks? And so I think that there's something about having two-way players, 3 and D players, players that allow for a versatility, um, that allows for versatility in terms of defense and offense, and allows for rotations to be more complicated. And I know I'm going to get the Giannis slander, but I want you guys to think about now. Well, I'm not going to even say it. Let's just enjoy the ride for what it is right now.
Yeah, look, it's a great question debate that we're still going to have, because unless we win that championship, the Giannis thing will be on the table. And I brought up the story came out today, from a Milwaukee a beat reporter, I believe, talking
Mhm.
about Cleveland. Cleveland look like they're in the box seat, because they've got Mobley, the young piece, and
Mhm.
then they've got picks. So, and Cleveland will be more desperate than the Knicks.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's Donovan Mitchell
Cleveland.
all over again.
Yeah, looks like they're not gonna advance. Well, they might get back into the series, but it looks like the Knicks are definitely going to the conference finals. And so I think with the Milwaukee thing, it's a debate about depth. You know,
That's the issue.
Giannis. Yeah, Giannis is. I think he would complement Brunson, but the way Cat's playing, who's younger as well, you could make I don't think where I sit is I can't debate the merit of Giannis improving this team, but what I think is very debatable is swapping Cat for Giannis legitimately could be a sideways move, not a step back, but not a step forward. It could just be a sideways move because Cat's like 2, 3 years younger, um,
Hmm.
gives you more offensively, yet not the
Hmm.
defender that Giannis is, but like I said, to give up Cat another piece and picks and all of that,
That's the
may,
issue.
maybe the Knicks can just make improvements another way. And the fact that we're so close to a title, You don't really need to make a bold, team changing move.
My friend CT, this is why I love having these conversations with you, right? And obviously we're ways away from it, but we've been here before. We've been doing Knicks Buzz, I believe now this is our fourth season, maybe our fifth season doing this. We've been here before where, wasn't it like when we first started, it was the Dame Lillard conversation. Are we going to get Dame? And then a couple of years afterwards, it was like after Dame Watch was over, the new watch became, wait, is it possible? Are we going to get Donovan Mitchell? And now the new one is who? Giannis. I'm telling you, there's something about these players who are in their plus 30 seasons, their plus 30, age 30 seasons, that we have to be leery of, especially because of the impact of their contracts, the financial loads that we're making. Are these deals that are going to make us exponentially more, they're going to exponentially increase the championship window? Or because we're often trading for someone whose value is simply at that point in their name, and they're past their primes, and they're at the beginning of the decline of their prime, that we end up trading ancillary pieces where we don't have this 9-man, 10-man rotation. We have people in who are buzzing who are saying they want to see more Jeremy Shohan. Well, guess who possibly would have, like, those are the kinds of pieces you would try to end up trading in a deal for like a Giannis or a Dame Lillard or I miss Devin Booker, and Devin Booker would probably be the one where I'd like trade everything for because it makes sense in terms of a timeline. But that's the danger in terms of um, a Cleveland they find themselves in. When you start making these moves where it's like you're not building organically, you're just trying to jump through the process. And I did that intentionally because we're playing Philadelphia and the
Yeah,
process.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I've heard some people debate keeping Cat, out of a Giannis deal, which I still don't know how the deal would work financially, but there is a case to be made with OG's health as well as he hits 30 and you know we call it like it is. OG does break down every
Hmm.
playoffs. He plays so hard and he's worth every single dollar. I'm not saying I've been keep saying that 42 million he earned every single dollar about that, but you also can't debate that he's broken down every playoffs. So do you want to be married to OG Anunoby like for the long haul, or do you want to just see what you can do and swap that out with some other pieces, try to keep Cat? Because I think I don't know how realistic it is, but I think a team of Brunson, Giannis, and Cat would be the best team in the NBA, provided it's got a decent amount of depth. You swap Cat
That's the
out
issue.
and you add Giannis and Brunson and some other wings. Like that's like I said, it could be a sideways thing. Um, Oklahoma's got so much depth, and they're getting better and better. Um, so I
Yeah.
do think, yeah, the Knicks just need to keep making smart moves on the margins. Would love to keep
Hmm.
Deuce McBride, keep Diawara,
Yeah, that's
try
another
to
one. That's
yeah,
another
try
one.
to re-sign Mitch, see if Shamit can come back on a cheap deal as well. Maybe you let Alvarado walk because I think Kolek should be ready to take a step up if you want to believe and buy into your draft picks. Because at the end of the day, you're drafting players that you hope they can graduate to being a big time rotation player. You know, if you try to bring everyone back, Alvarado might be a little too expensive. And you've got Kolek on a cost friendly deal. And I love Alvarado, but someone's going to have to, I think, be the sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, this is, what's funny? We're in such a great position right now, being up 3-0. We're talking about the postseason, the off season. Um, but I think that's what makes all of this so complicated, right? Is that, and we've been talking about this for 5 seasons now, where whether it was what we do with Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett and Obi Toppin, at some point, their contracts will force us to have to make decisions Quentin Grimes, and now we're here again, where teams in the NBA have approximately 3 to 4 seasons in terms of their championship window, and that's when you have to make very difficult decisions. And I think Cleveland finds itself right now in that space where they have to decide, what do we do with this roster? We thought that the James Harden deal would put us over the top. It's not putting us over the top. They're going to crash out in a couple of games, maybe three. Hopefully, they can at least have a gentleman's sweep where it goes 4-1. But teams like a Cleveland, you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be Milwaukee from 5 seasons ago, where they win their championship and they spend like all of their draft capital trying to chase a second ring, and it mires them in this financial hell that they can't seem to climb out of. And then all of a sudden, their star player demands, "I want out," and he hasn't demanded it publicly, but we all know he's made it known he doesn't want to be there anymore. And so, if you're Milwaukee, what do you now do? You've cashed out all of your chips. Your star player has now pretty much said, "I don't want to be here anymore." What do you do? And this is where, like, if you're the Knicks and you're in this space where, like, this might be your best opportunity with this iteration of the team, you better make it work, because after this season, you have very complicated questions to answer. So I'm going to enjoy this run, but I don't mind thinking about, like, yeah, what do we do with Mitch? Like, yeah, like, at some point, Cat's going to want an extension on that contract. What do we do with that? You're right, OG. This has now been 3 playoff runs in a row. Three, not one, not two, but three, where we have concerns about whether or not we should play him a game, or does he have to rest a week. This is somewhat concerning. I love OG. Like, I think he's amazing, but these are all of, like, the real concerns, and I always compare it to NBA 2K. You don't have to think about when we're playing 2K, but in real basketball, these are real serious concerns.
Yeah, I think one way you could be slightly critical of Brown is, was there a need to play OG as much as in terms of not trusting Diawara or Sohan a little bit? Just try to, OG is susceptible. You're winning these games by massive blowouts against Atlanta and that. Like, is there a way you could keep his minutes down to 26 and just give Diawara 5 to 6 minutes here or there? Sohan, you bought him in. I think it's fairly up for debate. But in terms of Philly, like what we're seeing now, EJ, is Philly look like a real 7 seed. This really is
Yeah.
a 3 versus 7 seed, and I do think if we face Detroit, that is going to be, no doubt the Knicks' biggest test. But I think that's going to be so much more difficult than anything Atlanta or Philly have thrown at us. As excited as I am, I'm buzzing as I am. I'm as real as I can be,
Yeah.
because we beat Atlanta a 6 seed and we're beating up on a 7 seed. When we face a 1 seed Detroit, that's where we're 2 rounds away from winning the trophy, and that's where you got to earn every single thing. So, how do you feel about a Knicks Detroit conference finals? Like, what's your initial thoughts, confidence level at? Do you still need to see them a couple more games against Cleveland? Um, I personally feel like Orlando was the worst matchup for Detroit, and they were so close
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
knocking them out, but I just don't see any other team matching their physicality.
Well, I think also the context in which we struggled against Detroit is different than what we're going to be seeing with them with respect to a Eastern Conference Finals. That OKC LA game last night, it may tip how the games are officiated. Um, Once it becomes more of a media fodder, once the national basketball media starts to get involved and starts discussing how are games being refed, there might be a little bit more of a recalibration that takes place in between the rounds. And Detroit is a team that thrives playing quite physically. Um, so if there's a recalibration that takes place where there are more calls, that favors the Knicks. The Knicks don't play as physically as Detroit does. If you take that away, you're taking a major edge out of Detroit's arsenal. And one of the things that we saw against the Magic Detroit sometimes struggles to create offense. So I know that they did incredibly well against the Knicks during the regular season, but you can also argue that this was a Knicks team that wasn't necessarily, and I know that they appear to give their all against Detroit, but this is a Knicks roster that appeared to be turning it on and off throughout the course of the regular season. So I don't know how to evaluate the regular season performance versus what might possibly be coming during the conference finals, because there's so many factors that seem to be very different, wildly different from what might be coming up in a week or so.
Yeah, you made a great point because regular season, it's just you can't really use that as a playoff barometer because right
Hmm.
now, pressure. They're still a young team. Orlando was able to show down the stretch that they don't have much go-to scoring. They are just going to try to beat up on you. Is that too one-dimensional? Are they going to foul everyone out? um, do the
Yeah,
Knicks just have the bodies as well to push back, or kind of like an Orlando, but way better offensively? I think we are going to be Detroit's biggest test because we can match physicality, but we're so much better than Orlando in terms of shot making. Um, I think Brunson's just going to have a phenomenal series. I think
yeah.
if Brunson is better than Cade, we'll win the
Oh,
series.
series over.
If
Yeah.
if Cade is the best player in the series, then Detroit obviously have a shot, But then the second best player, if Cat's like way better than Detroit's second best player, then I think that's still enough for the Knicks to win the series. I think it's going to have to be probably going to have to be a Cat series actually, because Thompson is going to guard Brunson quite physical, you know.
I think this is where you have a shift back in playoff strategy, back to what worked against Atlanta. Because what did we see in Atlanta, particularly the first two games, is that there was an aggressive wing defense over Brunson. And so this is where we shifted towards, and I was begging for it, turn the keys to the car over to who? The big cat. So to your point, what if Jalen Brunson isn't the best player in the series? Cade Cunningham is the best player. However, Cat is the second best player. OG Anunoby is the third best player, and Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson is the fourth best player. In that permutation, I still think the Knicks win. Because the question that you really have to ask yourself, who's going to be that steady offensive producer from Detroit, not named Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, they're going to put a lot of pressure on Duncan Robinson, you know, Dennis Jenkins to beat you.
Yeah, I mean,
Come
I
on,
love SJU, but come on, yeah, you're right. It's like, you know, God bless Dennis Jenkins. I'm a huge St. John's Red Storm fan. Um, but if that's your secondary scorer, I don't know. I don't know. I
What
do
about
think that the biggest. Go ahead,
yeah,
bro.
yeah? Just add to this Bernie Bickerstaff. What do you think of him as well?
I think it's a wash. Bernie Bickerstaff, Mike Brown. I think it's a wash. I don't see Bernie Bickerstaff out coaching Mike Brown. I think that the way that the Knicks are locked in this postseason is different than what we saw during the regular season. I think the biggest advantage that Detroit has, aside from the physicality, is that they'd be playing 4 games in Detroit. And I don't know if Knicks fans are going to travel as well to Detroit as they do Atlanta, as they do Miami, as they do Philadelphia, as they do Boston. I wouldn't be surprised if Knicks fans found their way in Detroit, but there are just certain spots where you just know the opposing home court is just not as imposing as others. I do think Detroit tends to have a little bit more of an imposing element to it than the teams that I named prior.
Yeah, and let's continue to give this man his shine because playoff proven performing. Uh, Cade has not done that yet. Shaky first round.
Yeah,
Had an
yeah.
awful series against the Knicks last season with the turnovers, right? I think a smarter defensive, collaborative effort with that scheming, like Wall Street said, you slow Cade down. We we could make this series look more comfortable than last season's because Cat, I think, is playing better ball.
Yeah.
The experience. Detroit's weaker than they were last season. They had like
Oh yeah.
Schroeder, they had Tim Hardaway, they had
Yep.
Malik
Malik
Beasley.
Beasley. Yeah.
Yep. Now, granted, Tobias Harris is playing better. Um, Cade's obviously grown and playing better ball, but like you said, I think the Knicks smart. If they're smarter and they defend well and just make Cade isolate a lot and just or fluster Cade and get him turning it over, then I think, yeah, the Knicks will have a great shot. And I think a different dynamic is Pistons will have home court.
Yeah.
It'll be the flip side, EJ, than last season, where we had the pressure to start out well, win the first two games, and now they're going to have the pressure to, if the Knicks can steal one in Detroit, and then they'll have the momentum back, headed back to Madison Square Garden as well.
That's what I was going to say. All we have to do is still one. I mean, the rules for a an opposing team, a visiting team rather, they're different than the home team. The pressure is to just steal one game, and ideally, you want to steal the first game. If we steal the first game, um,
Mhm.
that's amazing because you've stolen home court, you've applied pressure, you get to make adjustments, and you have room to make more radical adjustments because you're already up 1-0. The pressure is on the home team to try to figure out a way. How do you steal home court back and win in game two? If you're the home team and you go down 2-0, that's a lot of pressure. So you're now asking a very young Pistons team to win 4 out of 5. So ideally, if you're the Knicks, you want to win that first game against Detroit at their place to apply as much pressure as possible. You don't want to be in the position to have to win 4 games out of 6. You want to be in the position to win the first game and force them to have to win 4 games out of 6, as opposed to you having to do that.
Yeah, and I think lastly, I do want to hit on the OG situation, but quickly before that, I think um, the the situation of Detroit owning the Knicks in the regular season,
Hmm.
that was similar to what was said last season with Boston. Knicks could
Yeah,
not get close to Boston. Then what happened? They one win, and all of a sudden the doubt creeps back into the team that's been dominant against
yeah,
a
yeah,
team, thinking that they've got the edge just because of the regular season. The Knicks are playoff risers, and
yeah.
they're six in a row now. They're playing. They're having a better postseason than Detroit are, and so let's go Cleveland. I'm hoping Game 3, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden have an all-time and put some doubt. Because boy, I would love to face Cleveland in the conference
I would love it.
finals. Like
I would love it.
that would be amazing. But yeah, lastly, give us your thoughts on OG. How do you see him? When do you see him getting back? What's the plan? I guess now that it looks like we're into the next round. Um, do you think like do you buy that it's just like a mild hamstring? I mean, hamstrings are always tricky. Um, and what's your prognosis?
Well, I mean, I am getting my doctorate. However, I'm not becoming a medical doctor. Nevertheless, I do believe the reports that it's a minor hamstring situation. I think that the move to not play OG tonight was out of an abundance of caution. And I think it was a smart move. I think that there are certain things you can get on the court that you may not be able to see on the television screen. And I think one of the things that Nick's staff maybe realized is that they weren't just deciding not to play OG. They were also realizing we're playing with house money here. Even if we lose a game in Philadelphia and we come back to New York, we're either going to be up 3-1 or we're either going to be up 3-1 or or it's going to be 2-2. And if you get a chance um, to rest OG for a week, you're not in the situation you were in a couple of seasons ago where you're trying to rush an OG back against Indiana and he's playing at like 60% of himself or 40% of himself. Also, I think the other part of the calculation that went into not playing OG tonight is I also think that the training staff has a very clear sentiment and feeling that Embiid is not at 100%. And so, how can Philadelphia win without a fully operational, fully healthy Joel Embiid? And so, again, you're playing with house money here. So, you don't need a fully healthy OG. You can rest him knowing that it's almost a very difficult climb for Philly to win this game. And clearly now, game four, I don't expect to see OG. I don't even think he's in Philadelphia, truth be told. Did we see him on the bench tonight? I think my man is in New York. He's getting treatment. And that's a smart move. Don't put any more pressure on it. Don't have you walk on it. Get full treatment around the clock. Rest. Hopefully we wrap up the series by Sunday. A great Mother's Day present for all of the mothers out there, for every mother who's a buzzer. Happy Mother's Day. And even happy Mother's Day to my mom in heaven. So, you know, I guess my mom wants OG to rest as well too. So that's what I think is going to be happening for the rest of this series. What do you think, CT?
No, facts. I agree. Great point, man. Like EJ said, this win tonight buys the Knicks the opportunity to just get through this round without OG. Even if Philly win game four, you go back MSG, close it out. Hopefully the other series goes longer, and then, like you said, OG gets more than a week rest, and I think if this was a game seven, you probably see OG out there, even if it's limping, like we saw against Indiana. Um, like I said, I'm no doctor, either of you, but I could see that it didn't look as serious as the Indiana one. So I think we can establish that. Like, you know, like I said, we're not doctors and we're not on the training staff, but it just didn't look as serious. So hopefully, yeah, a good week break,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
yeah, we sweep these guys, and then hopefully the other one goes 6 or 7. Um,
that'd be amazing.
and we see, even if you hold OG out game one of the next series, because it's on the road, and you kind of see if you can steal one. Um, but it all comes back to the Knicks' depth. Like, championships aren't just won in the playoffs; they're won at the trade deadline, they're won in the summer. The Knicks got Sohan as break glass in case of emergency. They've got Diawara, who they gave serious minutes to. So if needed, he's not going to be like a deer in the headlights. He's not going to be shook. You just add Deuce's minutes up a little bit. You give Clarkson a little bit more minutes. We've given Mikal Bridges all of his shine. Like, if he plays like he is tonight and in the playoffs so far, he's better offensively at times than OG. Can do a
Yeah,
little bit more with the ball. And so, yeah, if he steps up his game, then yeah, we could still get to the finals, and God willing, rest OG as much as
yeah.
possible. And so, yeah, let's hope it's not too serious of a hamstring, but the Knicks are taking care of business, ladies and gentlemen, just like the chat took care of business tonight. And I'll pass it back over to EJ for final thoughts.
Hey, happy Mother's Day in the States to every single mother. Final thoughts is listen, royalty knows their royalty. If you are a queen, you know you're a queen. Nobody has to tell you that. Um, like the queen knows she is the queen, right? So, Knicks, you know you are the better team. Do what you have to do on Sunday. Don't mess around. By 6 o'clock, CT and I should be able to hop on back on the podcast, and we're talking about celebrating a Knicks clean sweep and how we're resting all of our players. So let's not dilly dally. Let's not play around. I had to like going back into the vocabulary and say dilly dally. It's been a long time since I've had to say dilly dally. But hopefully we should enjoy this. And we're eating well, folks. We're eating really well. This the days of Alfred Payton, um, you know, Alonzo Trier, we're not there anymore. We're a respectable team that is now talking about sweeping another professional franchise out of the second round of the playoffs. So I'm hoping that you guys are all excited. I'm hoping that you're all buzzing. Please make sure to smash the like, subscribe button. Make sure that we appear on your algorithm. This is Nick's Buzz
Wow,
CT.
facts. What a what a call from EJ. It's been a great show, everyone on fire. The chat, appreciate you. Michael Drake, D. Ross, Wall Street Dame, Jay Mars, salute. Julian in the building, and everyone coming through tonight. Pete, appreciate everyone. Delmar with the super chat, and AJ, my guy. Glenn Jones, everyone. Agent Super Argo, Paula, El Tango, let's go. Shez V, Vaughn Allen in the house, and everyone, big up. We deserve to be where we're at, man, but the job's not done yet, right? And what is at stake? I'll leave everyone with this, man. This still image is everything we want to see and more. And the Knicks have a chance to possibly end the process, right? The process has been loading for a long time, man. The process has been drawn out. The process has been overextended, played out. The Knicks have a chance, in my opinion, to end the process once and for all. So let's do that in Philadelphia. How apropos would that be, ladies and gentlemen? So peace out. Let's get it. Sweep, bring out the brooms, and move on. For Detroit, we're coming for you. Salute. Happy Mother's Day as well to everyone out there.